Very good evening. Jai Shri Krishna Guru. Thank you for joining the Bhagavad Gita Satsang, the way of life as described by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So we'll be continuing from chapter 3, where we stopped last satsang. That is Karmayoga, or the Yoga of Action. And in this, we will be learning the necessity of performing sacrifices and other things as described by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna. So in the last satsang, we completed verse 8. So let us begin from verse 9 onwards. Man is bound by his own action except when it is performed for the sake of sacrifice. Therefore, Arjuna, do you efficiently perform your duty free from attachment for the sake of sacrifice alone. What does that mean? This is very, very important lesson. So see, in this, Lord Shri Krishna is he's explaining two important things. Until verse 8, we learned about how do you, using the knowledge, that is the path of Jnana Yoga, having the knowledge and then applying to do your karma, that is Karma Yoga. He's teaching both of it, and most important is how do you perform nishkama karma, which is selfless action. Your duty is to work alone, or your right is to work alone, but not being attached to the fruit of that action or the end results. So he's saying man is bound by his own action except when it is performed for the sake of sacrifice. What does sacrifice mean? It's a very beautiful word, sacrifice. We say, no, it all begins with a sacrificial Cont we say. It's the place where you put all the different things and you offer the sacrifice to the divine. Have you seen the pit? The small pit is there, and in that you put all this homa, we say. Those dry twigs, and you put ghee and many different things which goes in that sacrificial offering to the divine Lord. So he's saying like that, a man is bound by his own action except when it is performed for the sake of sacrifice. We also say, right, this word, my mother has sacrificed a lot to help me get educated. Or we say, my father has sacrificed a lot, he has to give me the best life that I would get, and that he wanted to give me. What does that tell you? The word sacrifice, we say, the person has sacrificed, means we give up a lot of our things, the attachment, the desires and everything, for the betterment of another individual, for the betterment of the society, people, world, the nation. So we are sacrificing our own desires, our own, it's not the well-being, but our own saying need, wants, lust, greed, everything can come. But we are only performing that action for the well-being of this world, this universe around us, and that's a sacrifice. So you do sacrifice. You sacrifice your life for the purpose of the establishing well-being in this world, whatever that might be. It's not you're not doing that action for your own personal benefits. Do you understand? That's what he's saying. Man is bound by his own action except when it is performed for the sake of sacrifice. Therefore, Arjuna, do you efficiently perform your duty free from attachment for the sake of sacrifice alone. He's saying very nicely to Arjuna, look, if you're going to think only about yourself, then you're going to be bound. Bound means what? The karma will accrue to you. So whatever the action you perform, the karma is anyway going to stick to you. But when you're doing as a sacrifice, for the sake of sacrifice alone, then no karma accrues to you. And he's saying, therefore Arjuna, do you efficiently perform your duty free from attachment for the sake of sacrifice alone. What does that tell you? That he's telling you that it's then you are also free from attachment to that duty, to that karma, to whatever that you think. See, you're not then thinking that, oh, I'm doing it for myself. I want this, I want to do that, I want to achieve for myself. But you know what? When our goal is for the whole world, when it's for the entire universe, then that I doesn't come, right? It's all about thou. The world comes first. The Lord comes first. Then you know that you're only serving the purpose of the divine Lord. Whatever that you do, you're only, working for the divine Lord. You're not doing it for yourself. And this is the truth you need to understand. And then what is it he's saying? Having created mankind along with yajna. We said the word, right? The kund, the sacrificial offerings, the yajna. And at the beginning of creation, the creator, Brahma, said to them, "You shall prosper by this. May this yield the enjoyments you seek." What is he saying? Having created mankind along with the yajna, at the beginning of the creation, the creator, Brahma, said to them, "You shall prosper by this. May this yield the enjoyments you seek." See, there is two ways to understand this verse, okay? So when we say sacrifice itself, the first thing comes to our mind is the ritual. There is a pit, that's like where you put the yajna kundu, we call it, okay? The sacrificial pit. And what do we offer in that? We put all, like I said, the twigs, and you put different ingredients, which is very, very critical for that sacrifice to, be performed. And once the sacrificial offering is done, then you make a wish saying, "I am performing this yajna so that I can achieve some prosperity, some enjoyment that I am seeking." So that is why we do. But in the spiritual context, that is not what it means. It means that, see, the yajna, what is he saying? He said, having created mankind along the yajna, means what? Having created mankind. Why has the God created the human beings? Because he wanted someone to enjoy this entire creation of his. If there is nobody to admire his beautiful creation, then what is the use of it, right? But what happened to the humankind? When God created human beings, they became very lusty, greedy, and they started, disrupting the whole world. They've said that I want the possession. They started abusing the environment. They started abusing what was available. There's no live and let live. Everybody were driven by their lust and greed. So this is what happens. And he says, along with the yajna. Yajna means what? He said the yajnas are performed so that, you can prosper, the world can prosper. It's a betterment. The same way, the yajna is not outside somewhere. The yajna is within us. Imagine when you eat the food, you're offering a sacrifice to your stomach. That's your pit. That's the yajna. Kund means the pit, sacrificial pit. So who's the God that is getting pleased with you? The God of the one who rules that world. He's getting pleased with you. And then what is he? He's going to bestow you good health because the nutrients get absorbed. So that's the sacrifice we offer. Similarly to everything, our entire body, the whole yajna happens in this body alone. Just that we don't understand. Say example, you admire the creation of the divine God. What are you doing? That yajna, you're offering that. Oh, that rose is beautiful. That's a sacrifice. That sacrifice is being offered to the God in your eye. And he's pleased. But if you don't do that, what happens? And we become lusty and greedy, then what happens? They are not also getting their sacrificial offerings, right? And then how can we enjoy good health? How can our vision be good, clean? How can we only see goodness in this world? Then we're doing something wrong. Then we're not performing our duties for the sake of performing our duty, but we are only performing our duty so that we want to enjoy certain benefits. We want certain, we want to be self-satisfied. It is for myself, we say. I want to first do it for myself. Who is this I? It's the ego. Who is this want to do this for whom? The body or the people associated with the body? No. Then there is no point in you having taken this human birth. Please remember the bigger purpose. The big picture is that we are born for a purpose. That's a bigger purpose. To serve the purpose of the divine Lord, following the path of dharma, righteousness. That is all it means. So he's saying, having created mankind along with yajna, at the beginning of the creation, the creator, Brahma, said to them, "You shall prosper by this. May this yield enjoyments you seek." What is it you're seeking? That's very important. The seeking doesn't be, it's fulfilling my personal desires. It is to titillate my senses and to make me feel, oh, I am so blessed, or I am so great, I am this, I am that. The I is what you're trying to please. But when you serve, when you sacrifice for this entire world, then you don't exist anymore, no? And that time, you're not bound by your own action. You don't get bound. There's no bondage. There's no karma accruing to you. You're not incurring any sins because your goal is great. It's the highest goal that everybody should have. It's not about I, me, myself. Today, the reason why we have deterred, I wouldn't say, we have derailed from the path is because we have all gone into our selfish motivations, selfish motives. We have an hidden agenda. We have an objective to live life. We have too many things. But the real purpose, the real meaning of life has been forgotten. So here also the Lord is telling to Arjuna, what did he say in the earlier verse? He is saying, Arjuna, do you efficiently perform your duty, free from attachment, for the sake of sacrifice alone. So believe that you're doing a sacrifice in this world. And who are you doing the sacrifice for? For the divine Lord. And when you sacrifice for the divine Lord, nothing shall, befall you. No karma, no sins will ever accrue to you. And then what will happen? The divine Lord's grace is always around you. He protects you. He takes care of all your needs. You have just become a tool in the hands of the divine Lord, where your job is only to do your duty alone. Besides that, you're not bothered about anything. What happens, how things go on, what people say, what people don't say. You're just serving your divine Lord, the Master, the Supreme Master, who's ever benevolent, who's compassionate, who's kind, who's considerate, who's loving, who's generous, who's forgiving, and above all, he's ever giving to everybody. He's universal love. His love is unconditional. He's always there for everybody. Even if that person forgets him, he doesn't forget him. Even you might close the door on your God, but the God doesn't. His door is always open to the foe or a friend. He looks upon them the same. In equanimity, there is no disparity in his world at all. His love is unconditional and universal alone. So who has all these disparities, or the way we look at it? It's a human being, the mankind, he said, no? The mankind was created along with the yajna, so that they can enjoy. Brahma is saying the creator. But what did we do? We misused. That is what we did. We never understood the importance of why we are there. What is our purpose? We never did that. We have completely misunderstood. We have misinterpreted. So this is what has happened to us in our life. So he's saying, so let us continue. Foster the gods through this sacrifice. What is he saying? Foster the gods. See, the sacrifices have to be offered, right? Example, like I said, when you eat healthy, the God in your stomach is satisfied. And that offering, you've actually you're offering that sacrifice to him. The God is pleased by that sacrifice, and he gives you good health. When the gods are, given their offerings, their due sacrificial offerings, when you give to them, they will keep you happy. So what is he saying? Foster the gods through this sacrifice, which means you need to ensure your mind, body, senses, everything is taken care of. And let the gods foster you. So when you eat good, when you see good, when you think good, when you speak good, when you spread love, don't you think you are actually fostered gods through this sacrifice? You're offering all the beautiful things to them, and the gods are going to be fostered, and you're fostering the gods likewise. And then he says, and let the gods foster you, so that in return they are also going to foster you. Thus, each fostering the other selflessly, you will attain the highest good. How beautiful that is. Thus, each fostering the other selflessly. Selflessly, we have to foster each other. It's not with an expectation. Oh, I'm doing this so that I can get this from you. No, it's not like I scratch your back and you scratch my back. No, it's not about it. It's not a contract over here. He's saying mutually, and you have to do it selflessly so that mutually you both benefit from it. But not with an intention that I'm getting something. See, that should never be the case. You should never have that, hidden agenda. Why you are acting. See, a human being's nature is such that he is very clear. He's very much vested in his self. So he will always see which side the bread is buttered. So when he knows which side the bread is buttered, he's only going to act accordingly. So that's a mean way of looking at life or people. You don't have to be such a mean-minded person, or an individual. You always have to, you don't have to always think only about yourself. Someday we have to think about the world, the people around us. What do they need? What do they want? Everything. But here, it's a very interesting thing that the Lord is talking about. It is about, foster the gods through this sacrifice. Foster the gods through this sacrifice. First, this mind, body, senses, this own body, the kshetra. This is something which you have to foster it. And foster the gods through this sacrifice means what? That you have to, get everything, the sacrifice that you offer, to the divine Lord. The gods within you should be always good. You have to nurture them, you have to foster them. And in turn, the gods will also foster you. So mutually, that's what he's saying. Thus, each fostering each other selflessly. So you're fostering each other, right? Selflessly you're doing. Then what happens? You will attain the highest good. There's always good that benefit. What does it tell you? That means you will evolve on the path as well, because your entire being, the gods are supportive of everything that you're doing within, right? You're giving them their due sacrifice. Then they are also fostering you, they're helping you evolve. They're also not pushing you down. You will be able to only see good in this world. My Guruji was teaching something very beautiful this morning. He's saying, one day something very interesting happened. I had to meet somebody, and he was sitting there for 3.5 hours waiting for this person. The person never turned up. And he said, what did you think about that? In that whole process, you were like, oh God, why am I wasting time? I've driven I've driven a long way. I spent so much money for my fuel, and here there's nothing happening. I'm sitting here 3.5 hours, peacefully. Why this is? The entire time was wasted. That's how I could have looked at it. But have you ever seen opportunity in that? Everything happens for the good alone. We have to always see the good. So what does it tell you? So you have to foster the gods, which means the sacrifice that you offer has to be always good. Can you see goodness in that? Can you see something nice? Can you understand why you're there? Maybe you might not know the big picture. Sometimes we can't connect the dots. But do you have that faith? Can you see something? Can you see an opportunity? Can you see something good in that? That is how we have to look at. So my Krishna Guruji was teaching. See, the choice of seeing good or evil rests with us alone. Either we can see the positive of it, you can see an opportunity, or you just think it's all based in, and you can become very a negative person. So negativity is not going to help you foster anything, neither the gods. Then who are you fostering? You're fostering the demons within you. So they give rise. So why do you need to get to that? So let's not get to that, and let us foster the goodness that we have, the love we have. That's why it is important. There are 3 principles. Don't see evil, don't speak evil, and don't hear evil as well. It's a very, very important thing. Can we always think about the goodness in this world? Even if somebody, is mean, bad, it's okay. We just have to let it be. That person's nature is that. In one of the verses in the last chapter, we said, born of his own nature, he's going to still perform the same action. Or even in this chapter, Lord Shri Krishna is saying, for everyone is helplessly driven to action by modes of Prakriti, nature-born qualities. So what does it tell you? Everybody has a nature. They are supposed to do their job. That is what nature-born qualities they have. And born of their own nature, they have helplessly driven to an action by the modes of Prakriti, the gunas. The gunas perform in the gunas. You will learn about it more as we proceed along. So why are we getting upset, angry, all that? When we see somebody behaving in that manner, we just need to accept. So can you see the good in that divine? Can you see the divinity or the goodness? Forget about the divinity aspect. Can you see good in that person? Can you see an opportunity? Can you see how you can leverage and work with that person? See, we always want to pinpoint and only talk about the negatives of that person. But everybody has a strength. What is the person's greatest strength? That you need to ask. There is always that one thing which an individual is known for. What is that one thing that you want to be known? Is also a question you have to ask. So you have to make yourself become that. Become good. Goodness is all what is required today in our world, because everybody is lost in their mind, in the mind space we see, because they don't know what is the future. There are a lot of uncertainties in their world. They're bogged down with their mental health, mental conditions. They're bogged down with their family, with the work, with uncertainties, too many things, sickness, you name it, a lot of things are, eating them up. So their well-being is lost, it's completely gone. And why? Because their lifestyle has changed. They are not providing this, they are not fostering the gods. They have fostered all the demons within themselves. Why? Because they don't know how to offer the sacrifice. So what does it tell you? It tells you to foster the gods within you. You have to only think good, see good, do good, and speak good. You should not do anything against that. But when you do that, what happens? The goodness also goes away. So my Guruji was teaching something very, very profound. And in that he said, you know what? I've come here for a purpose. The next few years, we have to establish goodness in this world. And only through goodness and love we have to win. It's not about threat. It's not about telling off a person. See, because human beings at the end of the day, please understand, they are driven by their nature. They are helpless beings. They're helplessly driven to action by modes of Prakriti, nature-born qualities. What does it tell you? They don't have a choice. They are just so much lost in the way, how things are happening in their world, because they're not putting that effort to understanding this truth and evolving. So that is the reason why they fail miserably. So what needs to be done? What needs to be done is, you need to, like I said, it's easy said than done. How do you always think good? Is it possible at all? No. If you think 99 things bad, you'll only think one thing good. My Guruji taught a very beautiful lesson, and this is in the Devi Mahatmya. The Rakta Beej represents, one evil thought. He gives rise to 100 more evil thoughts. So to overcome one evil thought, you need to have 100 good thoughts. Do you see the ratio? How difficult it is to get that to, even with one evil thought, you need to have 100 good thoughts. Can you imagine how much of effort that is required? It's incredible. It's phenomenal amount of effort that you have to put. It's not such an easy thing. How do you do it then? How do you do? That is through self-effort. You have to strive for it. So that is why the Lord is teaching these things to us, so we understand. So we constantly strive. Like Lord Sri Krishna, even in the second chapter, is talking to Arjuna and telling him, strive to practice the yoga of equanimity. You be self-control, Arjuna. You practice restraint on the sense objects. When the senses move amongst the sense objects, you practice the restraint. Control them. It's in your hands alone. Nobody else can do this for you from outside. That is exactly what Lord Sri Krishna is teaching Arjuna. So then he's saying, as said to them, you shall prosper by this, may this yield the enjoyments you seek. So when, having created, when you fostered the gods and the gods foster you, what happens? He's saying, then, then you are able to enjoy, you shall prosper and by this sacrifice, and may this yield the enjoyment you seek. That's what he's saying. And the next he's talking about, thus fostering each other selflessly, you will attain the highest good. See, the whole aspect is called the word good there. What is it you will attain? The highest good. It could also mean that you will attain your spiritual weal. We don't know the highest good that is there. So highest good is what? Attaining the spiritual weal alone. Beyond that, you don't have anything, right? What can you achieve in the material world? See, remember, everything in the material world is created, and anything that is created will have to perish someday. None of this is permanent. So that which is permanent is what is your highest good, and that is what you will be able to achieve. So let us continue the next verse, verse 12. Fostered by sacrifice, the gods will surely bestow on you unasked all the desired enjoyments. He who enjoys the gifts bestowed by them without offering their share to them is undoubtedly a thief. This is a very beautiful thing. So let us understand what Lord Sri Krishna is teaching. Right? He's saying fostered by sacrifice. So what does it mean? So you are, fostering them continuously. So he's saying fostered by sacrifice. All your sacrifices, the gods are very pleased with you, and so they want to bestow upon you. The gods will surely bestow on you unasked all the desired enjoyments, even without you asking for. The gods themselves will bestow upon you all the desired enjoyments. And then what happens? He who enjoys the gifts bestowed by them without offering their share to them is undoubtedly a thief. Now see, this is what a human being is all about again. What does he do? Sometimes, most of the times, a human being's nature is to not share the good things that comes to them. So he's saying, he who enjoys the gifts. What is the gifts? Whatever that could be. See, say the gods have bestowed you $1 million in salary, whatever that could be there. But if you don't offer their share, if you don't go and offer to them saying, thank you, I have received this, please accept some of the offering, which is what you have bestowed upon me. When you don't go share their sacrifice, and he who enjoys the gifts, so if you enjoy the gifts bestowed by them without offering their share, you have to give them their share, right? Is undoubtedly a thief. Then what happens? The gods are never going to give you again. They're not pleased. You've already made enemies with the gods. The gods are not going to be supporting you on your path. Whatever that endeavor might be, they will never be on your side. So you will ensure that there will always be obstacles. That is why we first worship Ganesha, right? We say Vignaharta, remover of obstacles. So we first worship him and say, please keep away all protect us from all the obstacles, and let whatever that I am venturing into be successful. So Vigneshwara, say, no, Vigna Harta Ganesha. We say, please remove all the vignas from our life, all the obstacles. Why do we need to offer to him? See, it's very important. He is the primary God, right? Deity. He's the primary God, where Shivji, when everybody, like when the God Shivji was saying that he will be first worshipped before even anybody gets worshipped. But that is his primary position. So we have to respect him. We have to worship him. You can't say that I'm not going to worship Ganesha. And if you get, if you make Ganesha angry, then forget about any Vignaharta going there. You will be in trouble all the time. So you have to first worship him. So don't, think that all this is it's just a myth. There's no myth. It is the reality of life. So you have to always, give everybody their position, their place in this world, even in the divine world. Give them that respect, honor them. So don't enjoy the gift which is bestowed upon you by the gods without even you asking for, without giving them a share, then you're a thief. Then what happens? The gods are never going to ever be with you. They are never going to support you in any of your endeavors, and then you will fail. Okay, I hope you understood this verse. So let us continue the next. The virtuous who partake of what is left over after sacrifice are absolved of all sins. Those sinful ones who cook for the sake of nourishing their bodies alone partake of sin alone. Oh my God, this is very beautiful. What is the Lord saying? The virtuous who partake of what is left over after sacrifice. How do you offer this sacrifice? Let me tell you. My Krishna Guruji taught me very beautifully. One day, I had bought some, I think I can't remember what I had bought. Something when I was in Singapore. I had bought I think maybe a handbag or even something else I had bought. So my Guruji asked, can I see what that is? And then I gave it to him in his hand. He looked at it and then gave it back to me. And then he asked me, do you know what I just did? He said, I blessed you and I removed and there should be no sins to this, no karma to that. So I just blessed you and gave it back so that you evolve. That's a very beautiful thing. What does it mean? See, it's an offering. When you look at everything as an offering to the Divine Lord, it is like once my Guru touched it, once he gave it to me, he not only purified it, it became a prasad, because he partook of that object and then gave it back to me. So it is an offering that you make and then you partake of that, whatever your Guru gives you, your God gives you. And that is all you have to have. And that is called the virtuous who partake of what is left over after sacrifice. So once you offer to the God and then your God gives you from that, that is called the prasad. So when you do this in your world, in your life also, you will never incur any sins. And what he say, are absolved of all sins. Absolutely. Those sinful ones who cook for the sake of nourishing their bodies alone, partake of sin only. In our Krishna ashram, we will not eat a morsel of food before our Guruji, accepts the offering. Whatever is done here, or even anybody brings anything here, it is first offered to our Guruji. He might not eat anything. He might have just touched, bless it and give it back. Or he'll just take a small bite, and just put it in his mouth and then say, okay, now you distribute it. That is called prasad. He has accepted the sacrifice, the offerings, and then he gives it. And then there is no sin accruing to it. It is pure. There is no sin and there's no karma to it. It is desireless. It's the purest. So anything that is first off, not anything, let me correct myself. Everything, whatever it is, whether your action, your thoughts, your deeds, even in the material world, if you're buying something, you're doing something, you have to everything offer to the Divine Lord. When I say, I want to look nice, not because I want to show off to the world, oh, I am so beautiful, look at my saris, all that. No, I am offering this to my Divine Lord. I'm dressing it for him. It's an offering. And then what does it mean? I'm not going to become egoistic. It doesn't matter. I'll only look beautiful because I'm doing this for my Divine Lord. And then I'm partaking of that blessing alone, whatever that he's bestowed and given to me. So everything is a sacrifice in this world. When you look at it as a sacrifice, then you will be serving selflessly. You will be performing nishkama karma. That is what Lord Shri Krishna is coming to. And then, even here, right, he's saying, those sinful ones who cook for the sake of nourishing their bodies alone, partake of sin only. There are a lot of people, they will first want to eat and then give the leftover to the god. This is how the world works. They don't understand the power of first what it means to offer to the divine being. No matter what gets performed in Krishna ashram, anything that comes in, everything is first offered to our Guruji alone. Once he has the prasad, once he eats the offerings or even just blesses and then tells, now do this, now you go eat, now it's okay. That is when we will then partake of it as a prasad. What does prasad mean? It's a blessed food. It is sinless, it's pure. Then it becomes that it's not me, it is my God who has given me that. And there's no ego remaining, oh, this is mine, I cooked it, it's for me, I want to first eat it, I want more. It's some humans, petty mind. Human beings have a petty nature, very peevish attitude. So we can't have those kind of things. So that is what Lord Shri Krishna is teaching Arjuna. So let us continue. All beings are evolved from food. Production of food is dependent on rain. Rain ensues from sacrifice. And sacrifice is rooted in prescribed action. Know that prescribed action has its origin in the Vedas. And the Vedas proceed from the indestructible God. Hence, the all-pervading infinite is always present in sacrifice. Oh my God, that's so beautiful, right? In one of the verse, I don't know which chapter in Bhagavad Gita, in that Lord Shri Krishna will say, whatever you offer in the sacrificial pit, right? Whether the fire, the twigs, the ghee, the ladle, everything is me alone. He says this word. How profound is that? Do you understand that God is everything and I am the sacrifice as well, he says. The one who is sacrificing, the sacrificial pit, everything and the sacrifice is me alone, is what he says. And here he is giving just a hint. All beings are evolved from food. Where do they all come from? Food, right? Production of food is dependent on rain. So how does the production of food happen? It depends on the rain. Because if you don't have, so all beings are evolved from the food means what? Mother Earth. So you have to nourish and then she grows and we are all, the food has evolved from there. And the production of the food is dependent on the rain. So if you don't have rain, can you harvest the crops? No, you can't. Then what happens? Rain ensues from sacrifice. How does the rain come? We offer sacrifice, we worship and see, we'll say, please let this, you have good rains so that, we get good yield as well. That's what we pray to. And then what does he say? And sacrifice is rooted in prescribed action. And sacrifice is rooted in prescribed action. That's a very, very profound knowledge he's giving. Sacrifice is rooted in prescribed action. What does that mean? See, every action, he's already saying that, is you have to look at it as sacrifice alone. Know that you're doing this for a sacrifice, you're offering a sacrifice. Actually, you're sacrificing. So what is he saying? And sacrifice is rooted in prescribed action. So sacrifice is rooted. Rooted means it is in the roots of that action alone. But when a man thinks, when an individual thinks, no, I am the one who's doing it. I have sacrificed. I. So who is this I then? Then it doesn't become a sacrifice. Then what does he say? Lord Shri Krishna says, man is bound by his own action. Then he gets bound because he's not looking at it as a sacrifice. So he thinks that he's the one who's the rightful owner. He's the one who's working so hard. He's the one who's doing all of the action. Because of him is why this world is existing. How petty, to think that he's the cause of this entire universe, or he's the cause of, something happening in this world. Please remember, he's just nothing but a tool in the hands of the divine Lord. The Lord uses him to get his job done. Many years ago, way back in time, when I first joined my job, at that time I was in a delusion. What's a delusion I had? If not for me, IBM doesn't exist. That was that's the stupidity of my mind. I thought no end of myself. I thought, I'm so hardworking, I get things done. The ego was bloated, I could say I can do anything in this world. That arrogance was phenomenal because I thought I was the one who's doing it. And when one day finally everything collapsed, I realized that I don't own IBM. IBM doesn't even care for me. In the sense, it's not the it's not about the company, right? You're indispensable. You're not indispensable. You are dispensable, which means if not you, there's somebody else they will bring. So what makes us think that if not for us, the company doesn't exist or the place doesn't exist? We have a lot of wrong ideas. So please remember, anybody can be replaced. So you just have to perform your duties in a selfless manner. So don't think that without you, this whole world doesn't exist. It does exist. You are just a tool. You are one of the building blocks. You don't form, you're not the entire building, you're just a block in that building. So what makes you think without you the building will collapse? No, it doesn't. But please also understand, you are just a tool, which is very important as well. You are also an important tool in that whole jigsaw puzzle. I mean, you're that block which needs to fit in for the jigsaw puzzle to be complete. But if you use your mind and think, I am the one, I am the greatest, I am the doer, all that, then you will also become dispensable. The God will replace you with someone else. But he's not saying in that capacity. He's not saying it like that. But what is he saying is that then you will incur karma. You will incur sins. So he's saying, know that the prescribed action has its origin in the Vedas. Where does this prescribed action come from? It has come from the Vedas. The origin is from Veda. And who has written the Vedas? The Vedas has come from the divine Lord Almighty. We say, the God is the Vedanga. His entire being is the Vedas. From him has come this knowledge. But we think that, we are the ones, we know it. Have you seen all these Panditjis who rattle off the Vedas without even understanding what that Veda is talking about? They don't understand sacrifice in the way it has to be understood. Why? Because Vedas can only be expounded to you by the divine Lord alone, not by a human being. A human being cannot teach you the Vedas. That is the truth. So we think that we know too much. We don't know. Till you don't have the God who can give you that knowledge about the Vedas, how can you understand the Vedas in the right sense? But today it's a Kali Yuga. So obviously the deterioration of the knowledge is going to happen. The knowledge is not going to percolate downwards. People are going to misuse or interpret it in their own way, and it's going to be completely destroyed. But that is part of the Kali Yuga. That's how the destruction is going to happen, and we don't have a choice. But the few can be saved. Like how? When these divine beings manifest and they take the form of a body, they take the form of the Guru, and they come here to impart this knowledge to the select few. And those select few becomes their custodian of that knowledge. They give that responsibility to some chosen ones. And those chosen ones continue to do the same job in this world. So what is being ensured? That at least the knowledge, the goodness, everything we carry forward for a certain amount of time, certain number of years. And beyond which, then there is nobody who can stop Kali from rising. And Kali Yuga is all about destruction. And so he's saying, know that prescribed action has its origin in the Vedas, and the Vedas proceed from the indestructible God. Hence, the all-pervading infinite is always present in the sacrifice. So please remember, it's so beautiful. So what is he saying? He is present in your sacrifice. So please sacrifice for the sake of this world. He's saying here, what did he say, Arjuna? He's saying, having created, okay, that's fine. He's saying, man is bound by his own action except when it is performed for the sacrifice, for the sake of sacrifice. So, he's saying, therefore, Arjuna, do you efficiently perform your duty, free from attachment for the sacrifice alone. So, this is the truth of this teachings of Lord Shri Krishna. And if you don't understand it, it's going to be very difficult, because that sense of doership shouldn't be there. We cannot say that I am doing it. Your job is to perform that duty for the sake of sacrifice alone, not thinking that I am doing it, and that is when you get bound by that action. Then what happens? You incur karma. That's what it ends into, right? That is exactly what happens. So, Arjuna, he who does not follow the wheel of creation, thus set going in this world, does not perform his duties, leads a sinful and sensual life. He lives in vain. This is very, very important. What is Lord Shri Krishna saying here? Arjuna, he who does not follow the wheel of creation, thus set going in this world. The wheel of creation means what? Thus set going in the world. That means it's already programmed. Everything is going in that motion. It's the wheel of this world, and which is set on going. It's going to automate it. It's, like There's a verse in the end of the chapter where he says, you will be perforce performing the same action as though mounted on a machine. So what is that machine? It's the wheel of this creation, thus set going in this world. It is already set in motion. You have no choice. You can't even say whether I will do, I will not do. All that you can't even exercise. There is no choice. And that is, does not perform his duties, leads a sinful and sensual life. What kind of a person, what kind of an individual are this? What kind of life they do live? They live a sinful. Everything that they do will become sinful. It's filled with sins, right? And sensual. Sensual means they're titillating their senses. They're always, running after the pleasures of life. So either it's always pleasure, right? Nobody wants pain for sure. It's all about pleasure, titillating your senses. He lives in vain. So which means you don't have a value with your life at all. Your life is waste. There is no point in your life. What kind of a life you're living? You're living a life which is full of, it's like, he lives in vain. That's exactly what happens. So, please don't think that you are doing it for yourself. It's my family, my children. See, we all have to do our duties born of our karma. Whatever that Karmayoga is, we have to perform. Yesterday, Lord Shri Krishna said, right? No man can be inactive. Everybody has to perform their karma. We think we want to live a free life. We don't want to be bothered. I want to enjoy my retirement. What retirement? God is clearly telling Arjuna, everybody has to work. There is not a single being who can be inactive. He's saying here, right? Where is this verse? Let me read it to you. He's saying, right? Therefore, do you perform your allotted duty, for action is superior to inaction. Desisting from action, you cannot even maintain your body. So how will you say, I don't want to act? You can't even maintain your body. At least you have to maintain your body, right? Are you going to say, I'm going to sit like this? I'm going to be fed. My food is going to come in my mouth directly and somebody will chew it for me. Is that what you're saying? It doesn't work like that at all. It doesn't work. You have to work. You have to do your job. Selfless action, nishkama karma, born of your Kshatriya dharma. Arjuna is a Kshatriya. He has to fight. He's a born warrior. He can't say, I'm not going to fight. His duty is to fight, no matter what. Okay? So, here, he's saying now, Arjuna, he who does not follow the wheel of the creation, thus set going in this world, which is already set, yeah. It's all done. Lord Shri Krishna, I'm saying, he's a substratum, but he's the one who was this entire universe has come from him. This story has already been predefined. It is written. You can't change it. That is, does not perform his duties, leads a sinful and sensual life. Though he enjoys a sensual life, he lives in vain. What does it mean? There's no value to his life. He is going to be born again and again and again, and having created so much of sins, karma with so many people, hasn't he sanctioned n number of lives for lifetimes? Yes, he has. So why do we need that? So Arjuna, please do your duty selflessly. Perform nishkama karma. That is what he's saying. Don't be bothered. Don't ask question why you're doing. What is the outcome? Nothing. Just do it as a sacrifice alone. So with that, we will stop here at verse 16. And in our next satsang, we will continue from verse 17 onwards. Thank you for joining the Bhagavad Gita Satsang, the way of life as described by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna. Om Shri Mahaganapate Namaha, Om Shri Gurudev Datta, Om Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai, Om Namo Bhagavade Vasudevaya, Digambara Shripad Vallabha Digambara, Om Shri Krishna Gurunath Natha, Shri Guruve Namaha, Om Devi Durgaya Namaha, Om Shri Krishna Arpanam Namastu, Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum.